Hello, dear students. Welcome back in class 10th biology. Students, I hope that you all are fine. Today we will study part 3 of chapter 15, our environment. Students, as you all know, we the human beings form an important and integral part of the environment. Our activities change the environment around us, and it is our activities that also pollute this environment. So, in today's lecture, we will study in detail about how do our activities affect the environment, in which we will study two of the major environmental problems. One is the ozone layer and how it is getting depleted. Second is the waste disposal. Now students, let us learn about ozone. What is ozone? Ozone is a triatomic molecule which is formed of 3 atoms of oxygen with molecular formula O3, whereas normal oxygen is a diatomic molecule which is formed of 2 atoms of oxygen with molecular formula O2. Oxygen is essential for the survival of all aerobic forms of life and for combustion activities, as oxygen is supporter of combustion also. On the other hand, ozone is a deadly poison. Ozone is present in stratosphere layer of our atmosphere that lies above troposphere. Troposphere layer of atmosphere lies above sea level up to 15 km, and stratosphere layer of our atmosphere extends between 15 km to 60 km. The thick blanket of the ozone layer, that is the thick layer of ozone, is present at the height of about 23 km in stratosphere above equator. Now let's see how is this ozone formed in stratosphere. Ozone at the higher levels of atmosphere, that is in stratosphere, is the product of ultraviolet radiations acting on oxygen molecule, that is O2 molecules. You can see from this picture that high energy ultraviolet radiations, that is UV radiations coming from the sun, split one oxygen molecule into two free atoms of oxygen, and these oxygen atoms combine with another oxygen molecule, that is O2 molecules, and form O3 molecule, that is ozone molecule. This is how ozone is formed in the atmosphere. So you can see these UV radiations split oxygen molecule into two free oxygen atoms, and one free oxygen atom further combines with one molecule of oxygen and form O3 molecule, that is ozone. So this is how ozone is formed in the stratosphere layer of our atmosphere. Now see, why is ozone important for all living beings on this planet? Ozone acts as a protective shield or a protective umbrella of the atmosphere, as it absorbs all the harmful UV radiations or ultraviolet radiations coming from the sun and prevent these radiations from reaching the surface of the earth. These radiations have extremely harmful effect on human beings, animals and plants. These UV rays are so strong, if they reach on the surface of the earth, they can damage the life on this earth. They can damage the eyes by causing eye cataract. These radiations can damage our immune system by reducing the body resistance to diseases. These radiations can cause skin cancer. They can reduce the photosynthetic activity of the plants. They can cause global warming also. So we are thankful to God who has provided us this natural umbrella that absorbs these harmful UV radiations coming from the sun and protect us from its damaging effect. You can see from this picture that this ozone layer protects the life on the earth by absorbing the harmful radiations. It acts as a protector. It is not just a layer, it is a protector which protects us from the harmful UV radiations coming from the sun. It protects the entire life present on this planet. And if it is not present, then the life will come to an end. So we really thank to God that who has provided this natural umbrella to save us from the harmful radiations of the sun. So students, name the protective shield or natural umbrella present in our atmosphere that protect us from harmful UV radiations coming from the sun. Yes, you are right. It is ozone layer present in the stratosphere layer of our atmosphere. But now it has been found that the amount of ozone in our atmosphere is getting depleted. Means the ozone layer is getting thinner and thinner. The amount of ozone in the atmosphere began to drop sharply in 1980s. Ozone hole, that is the area of extreme thinness of ozone, was discovered over Antarctica in 1985. Now the question arises, what causes the depletion or thinness of this ozone layer? The depletion of ozone layer is due to the use of synthetic chemicals or man-made chemicals like chlorofluorocarbons, abbreviated as CFCs. These chlorofluorocarbons or CFCs are ozone depleting substances, and these are also abbreviated as ODS. What are the sources of these chlorofluorocarbons? Where are these type of chemicals used? These chemicals, chlorofluorocarbons, are used as refrigerants and in the fire extinguishers, rocket propellants, air conditioners, deodorants and aerosols. These chlorofluorocarbons are mainly responsible for the depletion of ozone layer. Students, these ozone depleting substances like chlorofluorocarbons are synthetic chemicals, means they are man-made chemicals. These chemicals are highly stable and persist in our atmosphere for many years. With the passage of time, these chlorofluorocarbon molecules enter the upper layer of atmosphere, that is stratosphere. In stratosphere, the ultraviolet radiations coming from the sun strike these chlorofluorocarbon molecules. Due to this, one chlorine atom breaks away from these CFCs or chlorofluorocarbon molecules. One chlorine atom then strikes the ozone molecule, that is O3 molecule, and combines with one of its oxygen atom and forms chlorine monoxide along with O2 molecule. This results in a loss of ozone molecule, and ozone layer gets thinner and thinner and causes the depletion of ozone layer. Now let us see what are the harmful effects of depletion of ozone layer. Depletion of ozone is a cause of concern. Due to depletion of ozone, Harmful UV rays enter the Earth's atmosphere and reach the Earth's surface. These UV rays cause various health problems. It causes skin cancer, eye cataract, reduces the immunity of the body. It also reduces the photosynthetic activities of the plants, and due to reduced photosynthetic activity, the amount of CO2 would increase and it would result in global warming. So, depletion of ozone is a cause of concern. Now, one question arises: how can we protect ozone layer which protect our life from harmful ultraviolet radiations? What are the methods to reduce the ozone depletion? Students, various efforts are being done on international level to check ozone depletion. One such effort is Montreal Protocol. In this protocol, in 1987, UNEP, the United Nations Environment Program, succeeded in forging an agreement to freeze the production of chlorofluorocarbons at 1986 levels. It is now mandatory for all the manufacturing companies to make chlorofluorocarbon free refrigerators throughout the world. Similarly, in Helsinki Declaration in 1989, most nations pledged to phase out chlorofluorocarbons by 2000. Production of these ozone depleting substances have been stopped since then. Chlorofluorocarbons have been replaced with the hydrofluorocarbons and hydrochlorofluorocarbons. Chlorine content is low in hydrochlorofluorocarbons and it is absent in hydrofluorocarbons. That is why chlorofluorocarbons have been replaced with the hydrofluorocarbons and hydrochlorofluorocarbons. Students, every year 16th September is observed as World Ozone Day or International Day for the Preservation of Ozone Layer. This day reminds about the signing of Montreal Protocol to freeze the use of substances that depletes ozone layer. Students, it is rightly said, जैसे छाता बारिश से हमें बचाता, ओजोन सूर्य से पृथ्वी पर जीवन बचाता. So we should also contribute towards controlling the emission of these ozone depleting harmful chemicals. Now students, let us see another important human activity that affect our environment. It is the waste disposal. In our daily activities, we generate a lot of material that are thrown away. These useless, leftover or discarded or unwanted, undesired materials generated in our daily life are termed as waste. This waste is also referred as garbage, rubbish, trash, or junk. Now the question arises, what happens to these waste that we throw away? To answer this question, let us perform one activity. Collect waste materials from your homes. This could include all the waste that you generate during a day, like kitchen waste, spoiled food, vegetable peels, used tea leaves, milk packets, empty cartons, waste paper, empty medicine bottles, strips, bubble packs, old and torn clothes, and broken footwear. Now bury this material in a pit in the school garden, or if there is no space available, you can collect the material in an old bucket or flower pot and cover them with at least 15 centimeter of soil. Keep this material moist and observe at a 15-day interval. Find the materials that remain unchanged over a long period of time at the interval of 15 days at least. Find the materials which change their form and structure over the time, and also find those waste materials that are changed and almost disappeared in the soil. Students also observe which waste materials change the fastest. Students, at the interval of 15 days, you will observe that the kitchen waste like vegetable peels, spoiled food, used tea leaves, etc. get almost disappeared and mixed with soil. Whereas paper waste, old and torn clothes, some broken leather footwears also change into powdered form gradually. But the waste like empty plastic bottles, glass bottles, plastic bags, poly bags, medicine strips, they remain as such. They do not change their form. So, what we conclude from this activity? We conclude from this activity that we generate two types of household waste. One that can easily be decomposed, that are known as biodegradable waste, and the other one that cannot be decomposed and remain as such for long time in an environment. Such waste are called non-biodegradable waste. So students, now answer, what are the two categories of household waste that we generate daily? Yes, you are right. It is biodegradable waste and non-biodegradable waste. Now let's recall what is waste and what are the types of waste on the basis of its physical state. The useless, leftover or discarded materials generated in our daily life are termed as waste. The waste may be in the form of solid waste, liquid waste and gaseous waste. Solid waste can be food waste or garbage, can be household waste, waste from vegetable and fruit market, food canning industries, kitchens and slaughterhouses. Trash or rubbish like solid waste like polythene bags, plastic waste, broken or useless boards, cardboards, waste paper, old and waste clothes, broken crockery, empty cans, broken furniture, construction waste, ashes, dust, dirt, etc. It can be chemical and industrial waste also. It includes hospital waste such as cotton, bandage, used plaster, which is plaster of Paris, discarded syringes, empty glass bottles, plastic bottles, etc. Solid waste can be human excreta and cattle dung. It can be farm waste such as husk, straw, coconut fiber, sawdust, waste from the poultry farms, etc. Waste can be liquid in state like sewage water and waste effluents from industries. Waste can be gaseous in state like exhaust from automobiles, smoke from chimneys of industries and houses. And what are the types of waste on the basis of their decomposition? Yes, it is of two types, biodegradable waste and non-biodegradable waste. Now let's study about biodegradable and non-biodegradable substances in detail. What are biodegradable substances? The substances which can be broken down into simpler and harmless substances by the action of enzymes produced by microorganisms like bacteria and fungi are called biodegradable substances. For example, cattle dung, sewage waste, organic matter like dead and decaying matter of plants and animals, kitchen and agricultural waste, waste paper, waste cotton, wool, leather, sewage. These all are biodegradable substances. These waste are broken down and disposed of naturally by saprophytes or decomposers. So, what are the common saprophytes or decomposers? These are bacteria and fungi. They secrete enzymes over these waste and turn them into nutrients which get mixed up with soil. So these type of biodegradable waste do not accumulate in nature. These biodegradable substances do not cause biological magnification as they can be turned into resource. Means these biodegradable substances are turned into nutrients by the action of enzymes produced by microbes. As you see in case of compost formation, these nutrients are then become a resource for the plants for their growth. What are non-biodegradable substances? The substances which are not broken down into simpler and harmless substances are called non-biodegradable substances. Why these cannot be broken down into simpler and harmless substances? Because we do not have enzymes for their decomposition. For example, glass, plastic, metals, electronic waste, bubble packs, medicine wrappers or strips, pesticides, weedicides are all non-biodegradable substances, and most of the non-biodegradable substances are synthetic or man-made. When they pile up, they accumulate in nature and cause environmental pollution. The soluble non-biodegradable substances enter food chain and undergo biological magnification. Students, look at this picture. What is this container called in which tea is served? It is called kullad. It is made up of clay. If you ask your parents, they will probably remember a time when tea in trains was served in plastic glasses, which had to be returned to the vendor. Later, disposable plastic cups were introduced. Millions of such cups were used and thrown away daily. Initially, the use of disposable cups was used as a step for reason of hygiene. But disposal of millions of these non-biodegradable cups posed a problem of their disposal. They could not be burnt as they released toxic gases. No one had thought of their impact on the environment. Thereafter, coolers were introduced and they were used as alternative to the disposable plastic cups. However, making millions of coolers daily resulted in the loss of top fertile soil, as these are made up of fertile soil. Therefore, this practice was also discontinued. Nowadays, biodegradable disposable paper cups are being used for the purpose of serving tea. It is certainly an improvement because paper cups are biodegradable. So, students, on the basis of this use of disposable cups in trains, a question is asked in the sample paper set by CBSE in year 2020. Let's discuss that question. Plastic cups were used to serve tea in trains in early days. These could be returned to the vendors, cleaned and reused. Later, coolers were used instead of plastic cups. Now, paper cups are used for serving tea. What are the reasons for the shift from plastic to coolers and then finally to paper cups? So, how will you answer this question? Let's see all these points one by one. Use of plastic cups raised the concern towards hygiene. Thus, they were replaced by disposable plastic cups. Plastic cups are non biodegradable and are not environment friendly, so they were replaced by coolers. Making coolers made of clay on a large scale resulted in the loss of fertile soil. Now, disposable paper cups are used. Because the paper can be recycled, it is biodegradable and is eco-friendly material which does not cause environmental pollution. So this is how the use of disposable paper cups in trains is an effort to save the environment. Students, one question arises in mind that what type of waste should we generate? Should we generate biodegradable waste or non-biodegradable waste? So, the study says that we should generate biodegradable waste because it can easily be decomposed in environment and does not cause environmental pollution as it is slowly decomposed by microorganisms and return the resource back to the soil in the form of nutrients. But again, one question arises in mind: if all the waste we generate is biodegradable, will it have any impact on environment? And this type of question is asked in back exercise of your NCERT textbook in chapter 15 on page 265. Or this question can also be asked like this: what are the harmful effects of biodegradable substances in environment? Students, generally biodegradable waste does not pollute the environment as we have just discussed that these can be easily decomposed into simpler and harmless substances by the action of enzymes produced by microbes. But when these are deposited in a very large quantity, they can cause many problems. During decomposition process of biodegradable substances, foul or stinking smell is emitted due to release of some harmful gases. This makes difficult for people living in surrounding areas as this causes irritation, nausea, giddiness, etc. It makes the survival of people in the surrounding area difficult. These waste, the pile of these waste provide breeding ground for mosquitoes, flies, microbes which are responsible for spreading various types of diseases like malaria, dengue, chikungunya, etc. If we see in water bodies, the decaying organic matter in water bodies consumes most of oxygen dissolved in water by bacteria or other saprophytes. This leads to deficiency of oxygen in water bodies. This causes the death of aquatic life like fish. Decaying organic matter in open drains by bacteria releases greenhouse gases like methane and cause global warming. Now let us see what are the harmful effects of non-biodegradable substances in an environment. If non-biodegradable substances like polybags, plastics are released in drains, it leads to the blockage of these drains and cause a lot of inconvenience to people. If such non-biodegradable substances are thrown in open fields, they cut off the supply of oxygen to the microbes and other organisms which are helpful in increasing the fertility of soil, and they simply die. In this way, it leads to soil pollution and makes the soil barren. If these type of non-biodegradable substances like polybags, plastic are burnt, they cause air pollution by releasing harmful gases and cause various respiratory diseases. The overuse of fertilizers, pesticides, which are non biodegradable in nature, undergo biological magnification and enter the food chain, which ultimately has harmful effect in human beings and animals. If these fertilizers and pesticides are released in water bodies, it causes eutrophication. Eutrophication means when these fertilizers and pesticides, which are growth promoter chemicals, released into water bodies, they increase the growth of aquatic plants. Aquatic plants consume all the available oxygen and nutrients for their own growth, and this leads to deficiency of oxygen and nutrients in water for the other aquatic life like aquatic animals. These aquatic animals like fish etc. die due to deficiency of these substances. If the stray animals like cow, buffalo, etc. eat these substances, means polybags or polythene bags, plastic, along with the garbage in the open fields, it will choke their digestive system and may prove to be fatal. Means these type of stray animals can die by consuming non biodegradable substances. In this way, the non biodegradable waste pile up at the places, spoil the aesthetic sense of the place, and makes the place unsuitable for any other purpose. Soil, water, and air also get contaminated with the toxin or poisons released by these non biodegradable substances. Now the question arises, what are the methods of safe disposal of waste? One such question is asked in your NCERT book on page 264 of chapter 15 as question number 2. How can you help in reducing the problem of waste disposal? Give any two methods. Let's see the answer. The quantity of waste can be reduced in the following ways. First, separate the biodegradable waste from non-biodegradable waste by adopting twin bin system. The green bin is meant for biodegradable waste and blue bin is meant for disposal of non-biodegradable waste. The biodegradable waste can be put in a pit and compost can be prepared. The manure produced can be used for enriching the soil. If this biodegradable waste is decomposed in a biogas plant, the biogas produced during this process can be used as a fuel. Solid waste can be used in landfilling. Solid waste like paper, plastic, metal, industrial waste can be recycled and used in producing useful articles. Articles like paper bags, paper and plastic containers can be reused. And above all, use the principle of 3 R's: reuse, reduce and recycle. So students, in today's lecture, you have learnt in detail about ozone, the causes of depletion of ozone and the ways to protect ozone layer. You have also learnt in detail about the types of waste that are biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste and their impact in an environment. You have also learnt about the methods of safe disposal of waste in an environment. So this is all for today's lecture. Thank you and have a nice day.